Marsabit Plaza along Ngong Road have been sentenced to community service and handed over to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. The offenders, who are mostly university students, cleaned up Uhuru Park earlier on today as part of the community service. Well, the Deputy Director of Enforcement at NMS, Mark Leleruk, has warned other Kenyans against violating the COVID-19 protocols as the country is battling a third wave, which has seen a rise in the number of COVID-19 cases and even deaths. They will be expected to continue with cleaning in various parts of the city, including the Nairobi River, tomorrow.
It's really worrying. If you see the attitude that is being exhibited by these young people, it's quite shocking. You even wonder whether they live in the same world that we are living, because the attitude is just shocking. They don't care about the COVID-19 rules, and therefore they are just floating rules anyhow. They don't even care about themselves. We will utilize them as the Enforcement Directorate. We'll be supervising them as they offer free services.
You know, it's really terrible what has happened to these young people who've been arrested and are now getting punished over their so-called defiance for the rules that are being enforced. And the larger issue is this: who made up these rules? What is the source origin of these rules? Because it would appear that Kenya is losing its internal sovereignty, because these rules that they're enforcing were not made up by Kenyans. Kenyans didn't get to vote for these rules. Nobody consulted us concerning these rules. So the rules are being imported or imposed from outside the country. So in other words, foreigners are the ones who are making the internal rules and regulations for Kenya. And when these young people refuse to honor those rules, they're punished by Kenya, which shows that Kenya has become a colony of whoever is making these rules. So you keep on wondering, who are the people that make instructions, who give instructions to the elite that rules Kenya? And this is a pattern that we've seen for a long time. And it's a very disturbing pattern, because how can a country be independent yet the rules are being made outside the country? For example, when they made the rules and said that no one is allowed to go to work, this was very disturbing. They were trying to lock up people in their homes, saying that they have declared a lockdown. Who gave them the instructions to declare that lockdown? Where do these rules come from? Who makes up the rules? It's not us. So we are being essentially ruled from the outside. And this is unacceptable if the country is supposed to be an independent country. How can someone seated in an office in Europe tell you that you cannot go to work and you have kids to feed? And they immediately obey. No resistance. And then they came up with the other rule that said you can go to a shop, presumably to a supermarket, right? But you're not allowed to go into church. You remember? So who gave them those instructions to tell people that you can go to a supermarket, but you're not allowed to go to church? You know, they have an anti-God agenda. They really hate God. And the local elite immediately imposed those rules. So who is this that is making rules for Kenya? So basically, the elite of Kenya, the rulers of Kenya, have completely sold out the country because they are following instructions from the outside. They didn't make up these rules themselves. They didn't sit down with us and say, let us discuss this situation and let us come up with some rules to deal with the situation. No, they were given instructions and then they enforced instructions. Now, did we vote for them to rule Kenya, or did we vote for the people in Europe to rule Kenya and make rules for Kenya? Who did we vote for? And if they don't want to rule the country, why don't they just hand over power to those who want to rule the country? Because why are we being ruled from Europe? Why are these young people being punished because someone in Europe said so? That's the issue. I really don't care what they did. All I care is, where are the rules coming from? Who made up these rules, and why should Kenya citizens be obligated to obey the rules made up somewhere in Europe? That's the issue. And the government functionary here is so shocked, and he's saying he can't understand how these young people will not obey. Well, these young people are to be, commended. Because why should they obey rules that have been made up in Europe? No one asked us. We didn't have a discussion about this. So, under what obligation do we have to obey someone seated in an office in Europe making up rules for us? I thought colonialism was over, but it's apparent that the elite are desperate to bring back the colonial state, whereby foreigners are making also our internal policies. Someone seated somewhere in Europe says that you cannot have a drink of beer, and that becomes the law in Kenya. Says you cannot open up your business, that becomes the law in Kenya. Says you cannot go to church, that becomes the law in Kenya. Says that you have to go to your house by 9 p.m. as if you're a toddler, as if you're a juvenile. And they're calling it a curfew. Under what obligation do we have to obey any of these rules that we were never consulted, we never discussed it, that someone seated in Europe is making up laws? So basically the elite has sold the country back to the foreigner. And that is not acceptable. So all you can say is that we do commend all those people who reject all these foreign impositions, all these foreign colonial rules, all these colonial curfews, all these colonial impositions. You are under no obligation as a citizen of Kenya to obey a random Mzungu seated in Europe making up rules just because the country has been sold out. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Kenya's time has come. Our time has come. Your time has come. A time to succeed and not fail. A time to grow wealth and not poverty. A time to go up and not down. It's time for you to stop walking and drive your car. Stop renting and buy yourself a house. It's your time to get blessed. Join the CCV movement, and together let us keep poverty and unemployment out of Kenya. Become a member today. Donate what you can. And remember that the CCV is the only political organization in Kenya that is squarely built upon Christian values, unlike the rest. We'll see you next time. Thank you.